Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to another episode of Julie Laughton's podcast. And this week I'm going to talk about project management and why it's a great place to start if you want to get into construction. Because as we all know, the construction is almost a dying breed. There's no shop class in high school anymore. There's no focus to get into the labor trades. And it's like kind of sad because all the kids are sitting at home on the computer geeking out, pale, skinny, just kidding. I mean, nobody's outside playing, working with their hands. What happened to that? And then even the dads now, they may have grown up with that, but they're not doing it because my generation, there was a trades. It was cool. It was good. So the point is, if you're thinking about getting into construction, and I encourage it because it's a business that's not going anywhere, taking care of buildings and working on buildings is never going away. My suggestion is for men and women is to get into project management and get into it young, because project management takes you through the conception and to the completion of the project. You learn the aspects. So when you're a project manager for a contractor, you get to work with the architect, the interior designer, and all the engineers. And then you understand the city process because the construction company is the one that performs the inspections. And before that, they wait for the plans to go through the planning and building department. Then, of course, when you're present during the building process, you understand how construction works. And that there is no other way, there's no better way to learn construction than to be a project manager, because you get to see it from conception to completion and you get to learn it, how the process works. So that's my advice, because I'm all about women in construction. And I do have some women that I've talked to and become friends with that I've done podcasts with. One of them owns a door and window company in Canada. The other one's one of the biggest contractors in Canada and blue collar CEO, my friend Mandy. And the other two are in the trades. One's a crane operator. One is a carpenter. You know, the girls in the trades it's huge. Don't see that very often, but girls welding, framing, drywall, carpentry, go for it. And then if you can get union trained, it's even better, because then you are unstoppable, because then you know the etiquette of a job site and all the good stuff you need to know, but actually doing it right, which includes how to behave on a job site. So, and how to act and the code of conduct on a slab. No one gets it. It's like a whole nother world working in construction. So it's my biggest thing is get into project management if you're interested in a career in construction. So back when I entered construction, we were just coming out of the 70s when you were in an office and guys literally grabbed your ass and tried to sleep with you at lunch. I mean, they get you to go to lunch and get you to have a glass of wine and game on. So the point is, I was born in 1962. I started working in the professional arena after college. So in the early 80s, I still wore high heels and skirts to work. It was the look of the day, the big hair and proper attire for women was a skirt, a suit that was a skirt. And so the sexism was still there. The women in the workplace had barely been, it's all the crap that had to be fixed in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was still there. So and there was no women in construction. None. I mean, when I was I think it was the 90s, I met a girl that was a drywaller who was my age. She was older, but she had gotten into it. So there were, a few women, but there was no women contractors. There's no women bosses, but there was a handful of women architects. So I got to work under a woman architect in New York, and that was very helpful. But, just how you're treated as a woman, it's insane. Especially if you have looks and boobs. So forget it, you're toast. So anyway, it's interesting. But today it's totally changed. So it's like completely changed. So it's kind of nice, but it was different. And but I still made it. It's no big deal because I knew what I was doing. I knew what I wanted. And I have a personality where I technically don't take shit from anyone, so that helped. So again, I always talk about project management because if you're not like me, where I started in design and architecture and I worked my way up to a point where I became the contractor because it was mandatory in my opinion. But if you're not as versed in the background of the design and all that stuff, and you just want to get in construction, I always say go into project management because then you get to see what all of us are doing because project management exposes you to the project from conception to completion. And you're working with the plans, which means you're working with the architect and all the engineers, and you're working with the city and the inspections. So you get to really see the whole project, and then you get to see how the building's built. It's quite fascinating. So again, I always recommend project management as a career choice if you're just thinking of getting started and you're maybe not interested in doing the manual labor part because I'm telling you, plumbers, electricians, framers, steel guys, they make a grip. I mean, it's a career. You make money. So in this business, so check it out. So I always run into these women that talk about, oh my God, I wish I could be you. I want to be you. And I should have got my contractor's license, or how do I get my contractor's license? So I have quite a handful of women that I talk to that talk about getting their contractor's license, and some of them are in real estate, some of them are in architecture, some of them are in the skilled trade, carpenters and finished carpenters. So I just encourage everybody, if you really want to take charge of your career and your life and build knowledge, go to the next step and try to get your contractor's license. If you really want to do that, run the job, because if you have enough skill, I should say experience you in construction, it's kind of an easy step. It's just people are afraid to take the step, but it's not that difficult if you have a little experience. I mean, I met an 18-year-old girl the other day whose dad is a lawyer, was an architect, and a licensed contractor, and she's automatically going to get her contractor's license, and she's only 18. So, but she has experience from growing up with him, so she'll be getting it soon, and that's her future. So it's a no-brainer. But if you're a female architect or a female designer, you're in the dirt with the trades anyway. So it's always like a no-brainer to take that step if you're ready to lead and do the work, because, okay, it's not easy doing this job. And it's a ton of paperwork and a ton of responsibility, but it's rewarding. So if you're already in the trade and you're already in the design, you're doing it anyway, because you're intermingling with it anyway. So I always say, just take the next step. Go for it. Thank you for joining me in another episode talking about getting in construction. Get out there and do it. Don't forget, the trades are like a dying breed, because it's like no one thinks about it, but the trades, the blue collar, the construction industry needs people. It needs women and men. So think about getting into it. Don't forget, it's a wonderful career opportunity. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always call me or email me about that. But get into the construction business. It's fun. And then before you go, don't forget to check out my 7 simple steps, which describes the entire process from conception to completion. And otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.